Welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining us today is Thuy Vu. Thuy, welcome on the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure. So tell us who's Thuy.
Who's Thuy?
Yes.
Thuy is many things, right? I'm a mom of a teenager, a daughter, sibling. I'm one of 8 kids. I am an aunt and now a great aunt because some of my nieces have had kids. But I'm also an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur with a long background in journalism, which has actually served me well as an entrepreneur. Some of those skills have come in handy. And I'm an eternal optimist as well. I always believe there's brighter days ahead.
Well, as an entrepreneur, you have to be an optimist, I would think.
Yeah.
That's the motivation and the energy and the fuel that keeps us going. Tell us about the Global Mentor Network.
Global Mentor Network is new. We're a young organization. We're about a year old now. And we were founded based on the premise that the world today faces a lot of complicated challenges, and we need more principled, courageous leaders to challenge that, whether it's in the home, in the church, in the community, in society, in business. We need better leaders at all levels. And so we seek to create more leaders by unleashing the power of mentorship at scale so that you can multiply your impact anywhere, anytime.
And definitely your work and the work that you've done with the Global Mentor Network is definitely an inspiration for us. As we talk about courage and leadership, talk to us about your own journey as a little girl that came from then Saigon on a boat all by herself. What was that like? What were the feelings at that point, and how did that shape you into becoming who you are today?
Yeah. So I'm Vietnamese, and I immigrated to the U.S. As a refugee at the end of the Vietnam War in 1975. And I immigrated with my family, but we had to split up. There were only enough seats on the U.S. plane for half of my family at the time. And I, again, one of 8 kids, so there's a lot of us. And I was stuck with the half that went by boat. And my mom had to make a decision on the spot as to who goes by boat, who goes by plane. So can you imagine having to make that gut-wrenching decision, how to split up your family when chaos is all around you and tanks are rolling into what was then Saigon, it's now Ho Chi Minh City. So she, for a variety of reasons, decided she wanted it was best to put me on the boat. She wanted to have my brother with her. He would be the only son, so that if we all died at sea, she would have one son to carry on the family name. So I was packed on a boat with the other half of my family, my father, along with some other siblings, and it was surreal. People were crying, and there was a lot of chaos and some yelling and confusion. But the other thing I also remember is when the boat took off, everybody just kind of fell silent. I think when you are faced with so much devastation, you're losing everything you know, everything you own. You're getting on a boat, heading into the unknown, not sure where you're going to end up or if you will survive the trip at all. I think that sense of loss is so deep that you don't know what to say. So really nobody said anything. Everything just fell silent. And it was a deafening roar of silence. It really hits you in the gut, and it kind of stays with you forever.
I don't even know if I can say I can imagine that. Today you're a 7-time Emmy winner, and you've been awarded several prestigious awards. What was the success formula for you?
The secret formula is curiosity, storytelling skills, and being a good listener. I've always been curious about everything. I love to find out new information. I love also feeling like I'm the first to know. I got the scoop. I love all of that. And it also forces me to break out of my comfort zone and learn about things that I thought maybe I didn't care about, but once I learn about them, I care about them enormously. And I think journalism forced me to, because you don't have control over what your assignments are. And then storytelling skills are really important. You have to know what's the narrative and what's the message you're trying to put out there. And being a good listener comes with that, because you don't really know what the story is unless you're willing to truly listen to what the person is saying to you. And I adapt that to my journey now as an entrepreneur every day. I'm a first-time entrepreneur now. I'm president of the Global Mentor Network.
You mentioned something that, setbacks, right? When people don't agree with you, or things are not moving as you would expect. You've also talked about thinking about these setbacks and maybe even crying over them for 48 hours and then moving on.
Yeah. So when I say that you're allowed to mope for 48 hours and then you need to like dust yourself off, get up and get going again, that really applies more to work setbacks or things more of a professional nature. When I think of like everyday kinds of setbacks, you had a deal that you were like so close to closing and then it fell through. Or you had an account and then the customer changed his or her mind and said, nope, we're going with the other guy now. Thanks, it's been working with you. Great working with you for a year, but never mind, done. I think those kinds of setbacks, you absolutely should acknowledge, your feelings. I mean, frustration, anger, it's fine to acknowledge those feelings and just let it all out. You can scream, cry, kick things if you want, not at the office, do it in your own time, in your own private space. But I think it is important to let it out, acknowledge your feelings and not bury your feelings, but also know that there's a brighter day ahead. I'm an optimist, and you just have to force yourself to get up out of that comfort zone of lying in a fetal position on the floor, and really get going again and not dwell on that. And hopefully by the time you get up, you will have spent some time reflecting on the lesson learned. What caused that situation? Did you contribute to it? Can you do better next time? Maybe it was completely out of your control. External circumstances. We're living amid a pandemic right now. That's not within any of our control.
Where do you see the mentor network going maybe a year, 3 years from now?
I really want the Global Mentor Network in 3 years to be the most powerful, most trusted network for mentoring for the 21st century. And what we are envisioning is really shifting the paradigm for mentorship. No doubt about it, one-on-one mentorship in person, very effective. But you can't scale that. And there aren't enough mentors to go around in that kind of environment. What we're finding is that there are many, many people out there, great leaders who want to pay it forward, but they don't have the time for one-on-one in-person mentorship. That's too big an ask. And so our solution is we go to them and say, how about we do a light touch mentorship? We do it virtually. This way, it's not too much of a burden on your time, and you can reach people globally, right? People around the world just need to have some Wi-Fi to be able to see your wisdom and be able to learn from that. In particular, we're targeting the junior and the junior leaders and sort of that critical middle, right? The managers who are executing strategy, because there are a lot of high potential members in that population. But most companies, when they spend their leadership development dollars, is for the top 1% to 3%, the C-suite people, the senior executives, because it's too expensive. And so our solution is something that makes it more affordable to train everybody, because we use technology to enable that.
I mean, leadership with a sense of purpose, not just with a transactional goal.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I don't think we're there yet as society, to be honest. I think I see many, many examples of purely transactional leadership out there. And we would like to reframe that narrative by providing something that is cost effective for companies and for enterprises and institutions to be able to provide to greater, larger numbers of people.
To me, it sounds like a two-part process, right? One is creating that awareness that people need to have, that this is what leadership means, right? From an operational perspective, but also then going in and making them, here is what needs to happen for you to be able to do this. I think that's kind of the goal that you have set out, is one, you're trying to build the awareness, and I'm seeing some of that coming through in the webinars and other things that you're putting out. And then once you kind of got them in, then you can give them more of the in-depth, the step-by-step, to make them the transformational leaders that they have the potential to become.
Exactly. You summarized it so beautifully.